Ahoy, ye mateys! 'Tis I, Captain Mace Traveler of the legendary Armada. Alright, I'm back with the cringy pirate voice, and it's very bad. But anyways, we are doing the stereotypes of a pirate's tale today. So, first we're gonna do titles. And soon there will be another episode of curses and clothing, etc. So, right now we're going to start with the trainee. This is the ultimate innocent and confused starter. They act like NPCs most of the time, as they attack their own team allies with cannonballs when they spawn their ships and ignore cave pirates raiding their ships. They also do not chat at all. Usually a good whopping 80% of the port population are these guys. Cave variants of these guys do not exist. Now, the swabby, recruit, picaroon, powder monkey, or boatswain. Port newbies, they could chat. However, it's not guaranteed. They tend to participate a bit more and have a better sense of logic. However, they tend to spam crew petitions. Even when you decline them and tell them in chat why, they start to get the hang of the game, so they will most likely ask for help with relics. The Kingslayer. These are people who are really proud of doing the Frostlines dungeon. They are really getting the hang of the game and probably have Precursor and some relics already. The Hollowed Pirate, and rarely any people use it. Only, well, probably pros using their cool edgy titles tend to use this. Infernal Pirate. Similar case to Hollowed Pirate, people rarely tend to use this, despite being much of an achievement to complete the currently broken Ashman's dungeon. Only edgy-like PvPers or pros use this title, though not as much as other titles. Precursor. People rarely use this title. Only swabbies, recruits, etc. use this title to get rid of their common titles, since they are fairly proud of doing their first relic. Researcher Assistant. Not every precursor has this, despite having the relic. People tend to forget to check with Professor Finkelhorn after doing this quest, since they think they finished the quest after picking up the shield. Dungeon Trainee. People barely have this, since nobody does the starter dungeon. They also do not even wear it. If you see someone doing it, they're doing it ironically. Arbiter. Unlike Precursor, some people actually use this a bit more, since it's fairly a bit cooler. However, it doesn't last for long, unless you're some sort of veteran or pro. Rescuer. Unlike Research Assistant, people actually check with Yvonne Morton, the bartender at Ducktown. However, people still don't use this at all. Honorary Thorpian. Despite sounding a little bit cooler than the other Relic Quest titles, people use this even less than the previous Precursor and Arbiter Quest titles, though it's absurdly situational, so it's a bit understandable. Gravewalker. This title is probably one of the cooler ones from all the relics, so people tend to use it much more, especially pros that are advanced in the game and want to look edgy and cool. Temple Guardian. Despite its name, role players don't use it. Being fair, they are an extinct species. Still though, this is rarely used despite sounding decent as a title. Probably some pros could use it. Frost Reaver. Despite the clear pride energy this title gives, people don't use it that much as it's not convincing enough. Not even pros tend to use this, so it's pretty rare to see. However, it's still a bit more common than the rest of the titles. Isataris, the fourth king, and a dev, favors anyone who uses it. Ghostbuster. It's a bit below the same level as a Gravewalker. Some pros tend to use it to look a little bit cooler and edgier, but not as much as Gravewalker, sadly. Seeker of the Gate. This is probably the edgiest but coolest title you'll ever see in the game, though sadly unobtainable at the moment. People with the grapple hook are really fond of this title, and it's mostly used by pros or veterans of APT. This is probably the third or second most used title in the game by pros, being beaten by only the Megalodon Warrior title. Reputable Pirate. People that aren't edgy and have some experience in the game usually use this. They usually get it by doing cargo or some world event. Like the average world event fans they are, if people use this, they're probably smarter than the average player. Wraith Slayer. Despite the cool sounding name and rewarding feel of defeating the Ghost Fleet, this is rarely used by people. It could be used by PvP cave pros, but it doesn't really go beyond that. Kraken Slayer. This is probably the third or second most used title in the game, since pros tend to use this, PvPers are more likely to have this title and are people not to be messed with. Megalodon Warrior. This is the #1 most used title in the game. Most veterans and pros use this since it's one of the hardest titles to get in the game. Also, since it looks cool and edgy for their cool and edgy appearances. People with this title tend to be caves, or average PvP fans. So be careful, if they are not in your same team, they only mean trouble. They also mostly always wear the Megalodon fins and Frost Reaver as their shield. Notorious Pirate. There isn't much of a clear stereotype for these, as it depends on the person, as the title is unobtainable and harder to get than the Seeker of the Gate, but we can all agree they're sick, both in the bad and good way. For farming all the way to level 50 with cargo with their literal Buddha levels of patience. Only the APT veterans have this title for now, so while you're encountering one, at least tip your hat for a sign of respect. That is, if they're the friendly ones. These are the proest of pros and are usually pretty friendly. They tend to cooperate with anything as long as there's some sort of balance. Assassin. The players that bought the Game Pass and thought it was cool and useful, they probably used the entire thing once, but then got rid of it instantly as they progressed. You rarely see people with this title anymore. Rogue Assassin. An edgier and cooler version of the Assassin product. People probably only buy this because of the title, so it's more common to see this title along with some others, unlike its normal counterpart. VIP. People only really buy this for the passive 25% experience and gold, but if they use this title, they probably have no idea what to put instead of VIP. That is, or they just want to flex.